Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Matheny. Today is the 3rd of October. We're moving into the reversal rally phase of the SPY cycle patterns. So come over here, take a look at our cycle patterns. We're down here into this reversal rally for the 3rd of October in trending mode. Remember, these have been predicted many weeks in advance, and today we're going to see what happens with the SPY. SPY is off a little bit, 0.22% pre-market, trading down in this area, which would likely give us, again, I've kind of drawn these for you. This was my original drawing. This was my copy of it, kind of just moved down. And if we open in this area, this gives us an idea that we could be up into the 574, call it 573.80 to 574.50 area by the end of the day today. Now tomorrow's setting up for a up down up pattern in counter trend mode, which would mean a down up down. And that's the way I look at it, given the fact that we've had a downward trend here and we would have an upward trend here, that would give us a downward trend here tomorrow. So again, I would just basically copy this. Remember, price has shifted downward, given a little bit of a gapping mode downward here, giving us something kind of like that. Okay. And our buy here level would just get copied and moved down to this area where we have that secondary buy zone. So remember, we're kind of looking at the markets have shifted. Visibility, bring the front. So this was my original prediction from about 6, 7, 8 days ago. Thinking that the markets would stay in this area. And then we had uh, the pre-market news shifted away from that trend on this rally. And then we had the Israel Lebanon conflict, shifting it downward a bit further on a Harami pattern. And then we end up over here on this crush pattern, which had already played out prior to this bar. So now we're into this reversal rally. Now we need to see if this reversal rally actually sets up, and is it going to actually trend the way we expected. So rather than just copy all of this down, remember, all of these prices shifted. So what's going to happen is we're moving down into this mode here where price is going to look more like this. And then we're going to get our buy trigger here, potentially. So it's just basically, think of it as shifted from one octave, a higher octave, to a lower octave. It's still going to play out pretty much exactly, hopefully, as the cycle patterns have predicted, but it's shifted from this octave down to this lower octave. So we're looking for the same type of price pattern to play out, just in a lower price zone. Okay, so we are going to let it kind of go from there, get this up here, get this up here. And again, what we're going to look for here on the QQQ, same type of setup. No, I think I've already drawn it. Yep. So here we go. We've got the duplicate levels down here. This was the original level up here. This was the duplicate level drawn down here. Qs are trading at 480.57, right in this area where I potentially drew the base. This was our yesterday's move in a downward trend. Remember, it already had played out and reached this level. So none of this is needed at this point. And we are looking at a kind of a zoning range in this area right now for the QQQs to roll out of this. In fact, I'll redraw that. And we're kind of looking at this kind of a trend here. So maybe something like this leading into next week. Maybe a little something like this today, opening in this area, rallying maybe up to 483. So this would be opening possibly around 480, rallying up to 483, 484, gapping maybe a little higher tomorrow, up to 484.95 maybe, moving downward throughout the day, settling around 482. Then possibly Monday, a little gap to the upside, possibly. And remember, Monday is a fairly strong day. You get this base rally and momentum rally over the weekend, then a gap up lower. So that leads me to believe that we're going to have that gap up lower pattern on Monday. So what that would really look like, this is Thursday, this is Friday, and this is Monday. What that would really look like would be a gap up, assuming this flattened out, a gap up trending downward into the day. And that would be our gap up lower trigger, something like that. A pretty big gap to the upside, trending downward. We've had these bars kind of like this, big gap to the upside, trending downward through most of the day. So I'm really looking for the markets to reestablish a zone back up here, 487, 488 for the Qs by early next week. Above this level, 485, call it 485, 484 and a half. And the same thing with the SPY, needing to move above this rolling zone here, probably moving us back into this 571 to 572 area to give us that real opportunity to the upside. Okay. Now we'll move over to gold. Gold's pattern today is the third is a temporary bottom. So we would be looking for a temporary bottom in the markets. And the way that would play out, as we're seeing right here, rolling back down, you can see how it played into my zone. I suggested we would get into a buy zone right over in this area. Little late. This looks like the buy zone has moved into this area. So I'll leave my original prediction and indicate in here that we're getting a pretty good base and bottom, indicating a fairly solid, make that kind of a yellowish color, indicating we're getting a pretty good little base and bottom zone here. Obviously, buying into this low right now would be ideal based on my pattern. Again, the pattern is a temporary bottom pattern. So what we would likely see is the gold to rally back out of this, just like I had drawn here. We come down, we find a base, we find a bottom. I suggested it would be down in this area. We're down a little bit below that area. So here's where we're looking for a move back to the upside here, carrying on into tomorrow, potentially. So this looks like a very good low. Again, watch probably down in this area. I mean, this is really where we get down into deep support. You've got a bit of a zone right here, kind of between here and here, as a deep zone support. So again, I'm going off of these dojis. Dojis indicate indecision. I could open it up to here, but I wanted to, I could have brought it all the way up into here off of that rejection, but I'm going to leave it down in this doji range here, simply because to me, that indicates real deep support. We have this little hammer pattern down here, isolated. Yeah, I can open it down to that hammer pattern. Okay, but the reality is that's our true deep support. So we're probably going to see price stay away from that, trying to resolve this rally phase today. Remember, we're looking at a temporary bottom pattern. We're looking at a reversal pattern in the major markets. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see gold move continually, just like I've highlighted right here, move out of this mode into this rally phase throughout the afternoon and probably fairly strongly as the markets continue to play out over here. So remember, this is all morning long. We've got this deep, deep low. It's holding up okay. It's right back at yesterday's levels, where we found this deep support here, doing the exact same thing. We're probably going to do the exact same thing again, which is find support and rally back out of this, probably watching gold climb up to 2680, 2685 by the end of the day, maybe a bit higher. So I would estimate a target area. In fact, I've already drawn it right here, but I would estimate a target area 2685 in this area. Okay. Now let's go off to silver. Yep, helps if I type it right. And we are looking at the same type of rally. Now, obviously, this early morning basing is not as evident as it is in gold, but it is still right here. So here's our basing in this area. Here's our basing pattern, and we're likely to see a roll back up into this area. 32, call it 32, 10, 32, 25, somewhere in this area for silver today. I don't expect a big move in gold and silver. I expect kind of a reversion. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be going up, pause, up, pause, up, pause, up, pause. It's going to be doing the exact same thing until we build that breakaway momentum. So, I keep expecting higher and higher prices, and eventually we're going to get that breakaway momentum. Remember, if you understand my analysis, I am really expecting the markets this is hourly. I'm expecting gold and silver to move up into a moderate cycle peak up into this area around the 20th, 21st, 22nd of October, and then roll downward. So we're building that base, we're building that rolling basing bottom, looking for that breakaway phase to get us up here in the $34, $35 area. This will be a great big move. It should be very powerful. Then it'll pause, roll down, I think, right before the election. Maybe not this much, but it should roll down, base, and then roll back out of the election. Maybe just before, just after the election, it will roll to the upside. Okay, now let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is doing pretty much exactly what I said. We're moving into this rolling basing pattern. And I know there's a ton of people out there that were expecting a big move to the upside in Bitcoin. I mean, it's going to happen, guys. It's just got to, this is what I've been warning about with the elections for the last 5, 6, 7 months. We get into this pause, and we're getting into a little bit of this, rotation in price on the SPY. We're getting the same thing kind of in gold. Gold's moving up, but we're getting a bit of a pause. I think that we've got like an October surprise, and let me mark that. That's going to be right here in basically this area. I think right in the 22nd, 23rd of October. Okay, that's going to be way over here. 22nd, 23rd of October. We're going to be looking for kind of a surprise in this area. And this could send the markets into, let's just call it turmoil. Okay. I mean, it could send the markets into some, what did I do? There we go. Could send the markets into some sort of turmoil. So in that regard, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff out here being drawn, but get rid of this. This is actually pretty valid. This is our flagging pattern. That's fairly valid. I can get rid of that. Okay, that's our inverted head and shoulders formation, which is playing out. This is our low range, which we talked about. This is our peaking range. We can leave that. So So essentially, folks, what we're looking at is, this type of a move, follow this red line or this orange line into this flagging, potentially after basing and bottoming. Now, understand that that move could be way out here. Okay. Could be basing and bottoming in this area later than expected. That's around October 10th. Or we could be basing and bottoming over in this area, giving us the flag, the early stage flag. This is the excess phase peak pattern. Rolling up to a peak, rolling down to an initial base, moving into a flagging formation. And if we then break down out of that flagging formation without establishing a new higher high, then we are in a downtrend. So this is a very early warning sign of a downtrend. I expect a little bit of chaos right over in this area just before the election. And I would not be surprised to see Bitcoin move down into this basing pattern, roll through a basing pattern, and then run into resistance, very strong resistance right over here around 63,000. That's October 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And that could be the area that we get the big breakdown. So, what that could do, like I said, is imagine this is our flagging pattern, this is what we expect. Imagine that flagging pattern now shifts. Well, let me just leave this and redraw it. Imagine now that flagging pattern shifts into this, rolling into a base and then rolling up into a flag, and then bases, rolls, and starts to move downward. That is a very real possibility, given this extended roll base. Okay, we could see Bitcoin move into a solid rolling type of a bottom. And remember, this fits very, very well. And I'll get rid of that for now because I don't want to over confuse everybody. Everything is fitting very, very well into our kind of an inverted head and shoulders formation. You remember I drew this months ago about how we were coming down into lower lows, then we got into a higher low, and now we're in a higher low over here. So you've really got this kind of a stalling, flagging formation right now. And what is going to happen is as long as we are able to stay, below this channel, which we clearly are, and above these potential lows that are going to be setting up right over here, as I've been indicating, then we're going to basically move into a tightening flag formation. Okay, you're going to be able to clearly draw a line off of this level across these lows, wherever they happen to be, into some sort of a flag formation right over here. And this is where, like I said, the apex of the phase two excess phase peak pattern really starts to play out. This is where we're either going to break to the upside and keep going or break to the downside. And excess phase peak patterns have about a, well, like I told you in the last one, the SPY, the dual one, and the SPY and the QQQ, they happen all the time. They're the basic constructs of price. So you need to be aware that we trade it, we trade within it. Right now, we're looking at that basing pattern coming down into these lows and building a base. So pretty soon, you're going to see me start telling you that, hey, we need to get long Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to rally back up out of this probably within the next day or two or three. Okay, depending on how this base sets up. But eventually, we're going to be getting up into this area, and I'm going to be telling you to look out. It's either going to go up very strongly, and I know this is a stupid example, and people have complained about well, it's either going to do this or it's going to do this. Yeah, that's what happens with an excess phase peak pattern. You get to this point, and you cannot actively, predict, because it will either break away to a new high or it will break down consistently. If it breaks that flag and breaks down, we got to get short, because that's what's happening. The market's going to try to come down to this lower level and then down here to this lower level. But if it breaks away and gets above this all-time high, then we're in a bullish trend again. So this is a mode here where, it's flip a coin. That's the bottom line. That's the way the pattern works. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down here. So that's the make or break area for the excess phase peak pattern. Okay, guys, so let's go get some today. Let's see what's going on. SPY is now up a little bit. Kind of nice to see the reversal rally come in. I'm assuming there's some data coming out today. I'll have to take a look. Come here, chart. There we go. Try to get this set up for you. This is a 4-hour chart. Yep, there we go. Look at our little buy mode here. Let's go back down to 1 hour. Spread this out. All right, so we are 68.21, still off a little bit. Need to see this move a little higher, but 68.21. So yeah, we just need to see this move a little higher. It looked like things were moving up a little bit. They are slightly ticking to the upside here. So we'll see how it plays out. But remember, reversal rally day. So hopefully we're going to get a nice solid move to the upside. Okay, guys, talk to you later.